Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, and good other things for potential watchers. This is another scene in the Living World of Darkness in the Mage venue. And today we have Damien, the newest arrival at the Chan trick. He's up at the roof with a lot of very weird brown yellowish paper writing things with with his charcoal stick prepared to clearly he's pondering something, and to Noska's delight he has already set up a fireplace, and there's been mud involved, like a calcified thin mud coating underneath the fireplace and a stone circle around the fire, so keeping it safe for everyone involved.
Well, yeah. Towards the evening, I mean, probably in that it's not too far north, but yeah, I think it's fairly dark by now.
Yeah.
Nausicaa will appear upstairs. She's wearing she's actually wearing like the gear that you was wearing when you kind of met her. It's like combat boots, a long like wool coat, and yeah, and she has a pair of sunglasses kind of in her breast pocket, and you can see that she has gloves kind of like there as well. And she'll walk upstairs and she'll just look at you, starting the fire.
He's using he's doing the age-old stick technique.
Mm-hmm.
This and since I can't roll, I'm just going to assume it works because we don't have access to the rolling part on Discord yet. So he's going to do that, and then he will put this paper a bit closer so he can, so the light from the campfire shines on it, and it's like now to the plotting stage. And he looks over to Nausicaa, and she shows up, and he just up nods her. So
Nausicaa goes over and kind of like takes a chair and sits it near the fire and just looks at you unblinkingly. Why are you like this?
That's a philosophical question, I presume. There's several reasons. I personally believe that we're all meant to be wild, which is how I live my life. And still I am a man of science. I just believe that we have, in some areas, let science go too far for what's good for us. Therefore, I'm taking us more back to the basics.
What education do you have?
Well, I studied engineering originally. Then, after a while, I left.
Masters?
So I took a master's in engineering. I didn't complete it, mind you. I left university after I grew disillusioned with the whole thing.
Alec will very groggily walk down the stairs in somewhat pajamas with headphones halfway sticking out of his ears.
So we're actually on the roof.
He will walk up the stairs then. Fuck off. How about that? Same rules apply.
Yeah. So what Alec will see is a very bearded, wild-looking dude in furs and like clearly self-spun cotton and wool clothing, sitting by a campfire with a lot of brownish sort of paper on the roof, and he is using a charcoal stick to write it while talking to us.
What the random bearded man will see is a dude with white hair, some green headphones, very tired, coffee in hand, ragged pajamas, and a flash drive tied to his belt.
Aha, another resident has arrived. Will be Damien's response as he nods to the now arriving headphone man.
Nausicaa looks over, just stares. You're not sure what emotion she feels at your presence.
He'll raise a cup of coffee.
He started a fire on the roof.
My character then puts his hand on his forehead and a very exasperated breath will release from his mouth. Why?
Nausicaa turns and looks at Damien. Why?
I need at the moment. I need the lighting for it so I can write down my calculations for how I will make my special solution for how to live on the roof in winter times with the limited space that I have available. So that's why I started a fire at the roof presently. I will also potentially cook food later, which will require heat. And since I can't use the kitchen inside, I will therefore need fire.
I would like to correct you on one thing. You said you cannot use the kitchen inside. You can. You choose not to.
In this case, semantics.
Alec will walk right next to Nausicaa and whisper in her ear, and he's going to be like, hey, remember that time whenever you turned me upside down? Are you hungry for a bit of pork?
Nausicaa probably doesn't look too happy to have someone quite that close to her, but she'll turn and raise an eyebrow, kind of questioning what he means.
Have you ever heard of a Spitfire?
She probably hasn't, I don't think. She's not very outdoorsy.
He will quickly grab out his phone and Google how cavemen would like roast pigs like through a stick and like roast it over a fire, like hanging upside down.
Nausicaa sees it and a cruel look crosses her face as she looks towards Damien and says, no. The others have said that I'm overly harsh on you new people coming to the Chantry.
I don't care.
I wish I got the same no.
You did burst in.
It's not my fault.
No. Damien, I would ask, why have you chosen this particular level of technological advancement?
I explained it. I personally believe
You
that.
said you would like to live wild, but you still use tools.
Yes.
You have chosen a degree of civilization.
We're evolved to use tools. I just think that we have gone too far with the tools I have and evolved in a direction that isn't good for the world. I mean, as we saw yesterday, we're talking about abomination metal dogs running around. In my opinion, that is not exactly what I would call good or practical for the world to have. So, therefore, I take us back to our roots. Still using tools, but I only use tools that I've made myself with but only natural components.
Alec will look at you with a side-cocked head, very sleepy look on his face, like he barely understood what you said, and then he's just going to snap a photo of you as the camera flashes in your face.
Stands up and says, she actually gets, you hear a beep, and she says, apologies, work. Alec, would you make sure he doesn't, gestures to the general kind of area, burn things down?
Alec nods his head and just kind of gives her like a thumbs up while holding his coffee mug at the same time.
And Nausicaa will go downstairs, perhaps passing Grace on the way down.
Yeah, probably. She'll kind of like, do that wave to Nausicaa, and as she passes by, it's clear she's just wearing like stuff you'd sit around the house in because she's going upstairs to water her plants. So, but yeah, she'll kind of give Nausicaa and be like, hey, and then keep going because you got to go.
Nausicaa will quickly just say, hello, Grace. There's a hairy man on the roof setting fire to things.
She starts bolting because those plants are her babies.
Go down and I'll see you all.
Bye, Robbie.
As you come up to the roof, you'll slowly see Alec walk over to the fire and just like put his coffee mug on top of it, slowly making it warmer than it was.
Okay, so my confusion. The first thing I want to ask is what fire?
It's okay. There is a cat. The roof has changed since last you were there. Now,
Well, did you do it all in one day? Because she comes up every day.
well, yeah, it's just putting up a campfire and there's like a sort of very improvised tent using a stick and what looks to be fur and some cotton that's standing at like a corner of the roof, far away enough as far away from as many of the plants as possible. The fire is standing on some kind of calcified mud coating. Like it's not like it's just frozen slash hardened mud, and there's a stone circle around the fire. So fire safety has been properly done here. As safe as you can get when you're setting fire on the top of a roof. And by the fire, you see a very, very hairy man. Well, hairy as in bearded. He's not unclean, thankfully. He's wearing furs and what seems to be rough spun cotton and wool. And he's has some like yellowish paper in front of him. That's does not seem to be the best quality in the world, to be honest. And he's writing at it with a charcoal stick, while Alec is putting his coffee mug by the fire.
Yeah. So this red-haired woman, she's basically in her early 30s. Like she's actually 31. And she kind of bolts out of the door to the roof, and just kind of looks around in a panic. And about 2 seconds behind her, there's a half-grown black cat that basically follows right after. And as soon as the cat sees you guys, he starts hissing. And she's too busy looking around to pay attention, but the cat doesn't attack. He's just hissing. And she's just like, what is going on up here?
Alec will turn around very lazily, almost like he's half awake, maybe half dead, either one. And he's going to look at you and the cat and then kind of like trying to see if he knows who you are or if he doesn't know who you are. Either way. And then he just kind of snaps a photo of both you and the cat and then just starts typing on his phone.
And what the heck are you doing? She's looking so confused. Like there's a fire over here. And I mean, she sees that the plants are safely away. So for that, at least that seems to be okay. But like, then some dude randomly snaps a picture without permission.
That's very rude. David is going to say, don't use your devilry device on people without permission. He's going to then look to Grace. He's going to up nod her. Ah, hello. I'm Damien. I arrived yesterday.
Oh. Okay, well, at least that's something. Are you both new?
I've been here about 2 weeks, Alex says.
I must have missed you in passing. I spend a lot of time at my job.
I spend a lot of time in my room.
That's how it was for me for about 2 weeks as well. That and the roof. I trust you're going to keep that fire away from my plants. Well, let's just say that either me or Boris will attempt to defend our plants if you're not going to keep the fire away.
So you are the plant. You're one of the keepers of this room. I must say you've done a good job with the toxic conditions that we unfortunately find ourselves in all this very stage to this. I, of course, will respect your plant life. It's not my intention to harm nature, even if it's nature contained in a city. Nature is most sorely needed, might I add. He looks out over the city from the view they have from the roof, and he just scowls at it, very clearly disapproving of all of the New Yorkiness in its entirety.
She's going to take kind of a breath and just kind of look at the one who actually introduced. Well, they both introduced themselves, and she'll be like, "I'm Grace. If we're out there, I'm Sophia."
Out of character question for you real quick. Is your cat a familiar?
No. But he is very smart, and when she realizes he's hissing, she'll just kind of look back at him and say, "Willow, stop. You don't even know these people. They haven't done anything to you." And Willow just kind of looks sort of mad for a second and just sort of stops and sits. But it's not a familiar. This is an ST has actually played my cat like that before.
Gotcha.
Cats are worthy companions. Is going to be Damon's response as he sees the cat.
And she'll look up and be like, and this is Willow. I'm clearly belong to Willow.
Indeed.
Alec will raise his mug at the cat.
Now, I should inform you that I'm staying at the roof for as long as I have to stay in this area. And can't. But at some point, if I can establish a more fitting living area for myself outside of this, I think it's called a chantry, I will do so. And then you will, of course, be. My presence will, of course, not affect the plan.
No, I don't have a problem with other people being on the roof. This is a shared living area. In fact, like whenever someone wants fresh produce or something for dinner, because we don't use any unnatural weed killers or anything up here. It's all organic stuff. So, I mean, if anybody wants any of the things, like any of the herbs or the tomatoes or the green peppers or any of that, you're welcome to it. Take it, make a salad, whatever you like.
Are there any vine plants? I've not yet explored the greenhouse, as I'm known to go into such structures.
What kind?
Well, vines, long plants that I could potentially weave into something. I'm planning to stay up to winter presumably. I need to make living conditions here bearable enough, and part of it will be making a proper roof for myself. Therefore, I kind of need something to make a roof out of, since my impromptu town construct there will not be sufficient.
Alec will slowly walk over to Grace. Yes, Grace. Awesome.
Yeah.
And he will kind of like slyly put his hand behind his like head and scratch a bit, as he'll kind of like apologize for taking the photo. And he will show you the phone. And next to a picture of you and your cat are like a line, your full name, and below your name, there's a number with, I guess you could say, magic level next to it, and it shows your quintessence level.
I'm confused. Which full name? Her actual name or her alternate ID that she uses now?
Whichever one's registered in the local database.
I mean, both are.
I guess you see two.
Because she has alt ID 2, which means it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And that's how she works now. She no longer uses Grace except around people that like here, because that's just it, when you're trying to hide from the technocracy. So
yeah. Then you see two names instead of one.
Okay, don't let anybody ever see that. And
so polite to go around taking pictures of people. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's the part. Please don't take pictures again without asking. I don't mind pictures most of the time, but I just want to be asked.
I have to make sure that, I don't know you, and, well, frankly, the whole technocracy thing.
That doesn't mean you have the right to take my picture without permission.
He looks at you and just kind of scoffs, but at the same time, nods his head.
It's called being polite to people that you're basically going to have to live in a dorm with for the next however much amount of time.
He doesn't understand social etiquette.
Well, that's what she's explaining. She just literally said that. I don't have a problem with it at this point. You can keep your picture, but make sure you do not let anybody get a hold of that information. We have to live here under assumed identities. And I don't
keep the pictures. I just upload them to this flash drive right here. Under a file.
You can hear a very loud snort in the direction.
What'd you say?
You could hear a very loud snort, of direction coming from Damien in response to all of this.
No.
It's just rude to take a picture of somebody without asking.
He nods his head.
Okay. But yeah, like I said, if you guys want anything from over here, there's even we'll see. I'm not sure if there'd be any vine-like sort of plants in there. I'd probably not, because most of them would probably be like flowers. There's definitely flowers and a whole lot of edible things and marijuana.
So
But I'm thinking there wouldn't probably be. I don't know if there'd be. Is there anything that's vine-like like that in that area? I don't know.
did you say marijuana in character?
No. I'm describing out of character right now.
Okay.
But if you were to look over there, it's not like she hides it. The other people use it. Like Boris already had it there before she moved in. So, but yeah, so she'll just be like, I don't think I have anything that would help you with that, but maybe I could get a hold of some for you.
Well,
if you can't leave yet, I could probably get a plant from somewhere for you.
excellent. I will buy. You can do proper bartering for this. This is excellent. Thank you.
Most of my things are more edible, and
I have noticed. I would probably have to use some for some of the formulas I'm working on here.
That's fine.
Thankfully, you'll be giving me the thumbs up for that.
Plants like me. They grow more quickly for some reason. And Boris, well, they literally spring up around him. So there's a reason why we take care of the plants.
My character walks over to inspect the many different plants that she is so worried about, spots the marijuana one, and then just sits in front of it, just in crisscross position, sipping his coffee, inspecting it.
I mean, she knows exactly which one is the marijuana. She has like botany 2 or 3 plus gardening plus herbalism. So she definitely knows which plant is you're looking at. And she's like, "Are you inspecting for quality?"
He nods his head.
I mean, there's more than one if you check over there. As she kind of points over there.
He looks over there.
It's anybody who wants it can most definitely have some. It's not a big deal. I usually don't use it unless it's part of a spell I'm working on or something. I'm not actually much of a smoker.
He grabs a leaf, and then once he grabs the leaf, he turns towards the big dude with the beard, and he's like, "Do you, by any chance, have a mortar and pestle?"
I, of course, have a mortar and pestle.
May I borrow?
He will rifle through a bag covered in animal skins and then put out a mortar pestle that's made out of clay. Then gives it to you. There you go.
Alec grabs it and then starts grinding it up.
I'm just gonna look at both of them and just be like, I should warn you guys. Willow doesn't seem to like most men. So you can try to be friends if that's a thing, but he's really picky.
To be honest, that's very understandable. Based on my interaction with most men, it wouldn't be much reason for people to like them.
Alec will look towards Willow, and then he'll pop his hip as feminine as he can, and then sip his coffee, and then give like the cat like a little like head wobble.
I mean, he's probably not even paying attention, to be honest. He's a cat. He's not really listening to our conversation. He'd probably only listen if Grace said something. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say he wanders off over into the plants. You know, as cats might do, wander off and do their thing. So,
I am glad that you have edible plants here. So I'm unable to eat food that I haven't prepared myself, and I don't have any. I left my old potato farm and things that I had set up in my previous location. It's nice to have access to actual edible plants.
You said you were a farmer. Did you want to help? Did you want to help with the plants? Because if that's something that you want to do, we can always get more. There are plenty of us here.
Well, I'm not a farmer, but my lifestyle requires some agriculture. for long-term survival.
So you had a mortar and pestle. Do you make potions?
I sometimes make different concoctions based on what I do, but primarily I'm a man of science, so I use as various technologies, which sometimes of course incorporates formulas and brews like this.
Alec will look over to Grace. Do you have any tomatoes or oranges?
As a matter of fact, the oranges are in the greenhouse. The tomatoes are. Oh, by the way, that's something else you should know about the roof is that the temperature is actually much more temperate than it would be around the building. Because that's something that the temperature tends to be a lot warmer or a lot better than it is, like, say, out in the regular weather.
Oh,
it's actually it's nicer.
Excellent. That will make things better.
But yeah, so she'll be like, yeah. I mean, there's both. I have a couple of small orange trees that I've been raising. And I think there should be some oranges in there.
He will walk over to where the oranges are, click one, come back, gouge out the actual orange itself, put it on the floor, put what he's ground up in the mortar pestle in the orange wrap with the hole in the center, and then roast it over the fire, and then inhale the top of it.
Well, what she'll just be like, can we not waste the actual fruit? I'd prefer not to waste things.
You have a cat.
The cat doesn't eat oranges.
What kind of cat?
Yeah, we'll pick up the orange and it will just eat the orange. And it's like,
I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind if you throw away like the rind and stuff, but that's the part most people want.
I just wanted the rind.
But there's also, and she'll go over to a particular pot. That it actually says on it, somehow, I can't remember how he wrote it on there, but it says GREIS on it. And it is a huge tomato plant, just this gigantic tomato plant. And she'll go over there and pick a tomato, and she's like holding it out to him. Just a big, beautiful, beefy looking tomato.
Alec will grab the tomato, look at the orange, look at the tomato, inhale the orange, look at the tomato, eat the tomato.
Anyway, my original plan was to make a mud hut when I arrived here, but as the roof is already pretty occupied, I will not waste that space.
No, if you need the space for something that's entirely, like I said, this is a shared area.
Well,
our plants have kind of taken over a large area because, well, like I said, plants like me and Boris.
To explain, that mud hut was for my own personal residence. Since I can only use things that I myself made, I cannot stay in the rooms inside. I'm not very safe with this.
I'm gonna roll my stamina to see how high I get.
That's actually really awkward. I don't think that I would like that.
Therefore, no mud hut. Or what was the response to the rolling for?
Yeah, I'm not sure why you're. Yeah, but she'll just be like, I was just wondering about the mortar and pestle because I'm starting to learn about a bit of potion-y sorts of things myself, and I didn't know if we had similar beliefs. So, but it sounds like maybe not. You're a bit more science-oriented.
Well, I'm different science-oriented than most people. I believe that humans are meant to be wild, and only ancient knowledge is something that we should use. Therefore, I stay with old herbal recipes and such. I don't engage in modern chemistry. He frowns at this.
Oh, okay. Well, Alec is just going to lay down and put his head on the ground, and he's going to be just looking at the sky, for he is high as a motherfucking kite, for he has failed his stamina roll.
All right, then. At least it wasn't a bot. You would have been puking over the side of the roof.
Yep, nope, it was just a fail, so he is just high as a motherfucking kite.
Okay. She just kind of glances over, and he seems to be pretty peaceful. He's not doing anything too stupid, so she'll just let him be. But,
Yeah, he's straight. He's just straight gone. He's just.
That's an interesting point of view, though. I tend to follow a bit of a naturalistic kind of thing as well.
That's why, and to that point, I refuse to use any kind of modern technology or engage in items that I haven't made myself, or eat food that I haven't prepared myself.
Well, she actually digs in her pocket and pulls out a phone, and she's like, I don't quite go that far.
Well, to each their own, I suppose. He frowns at the phone. He looks at it like the phone has personally offended him. And
honestly, he's lucky that she didn't pull out her other 2 phones. She has 3.
Yes. Out of
My
his bag.
character has a briefcase full of phones in his room because he uses them as really cheap explosives.
Well, she has 3 that she would use depending on situation. But anyway, yeah. So, and she's just like, well, I hear from Boris all the time just how apparently I'm too connected to today, but I don't think that I'm doing anything wrong, and that it has nothing to do with how I do my magic.
Not a frown, but he just nods.
I would refer to myself as a witch, if that helps you at all with
I understand.
how things work.
He's going to start rifle through his bag and pull out some things. And true to his word, everything seems to be made out of either wood, bone, or clay, or something similar.
She nods appreciatively, like she's watching this, like this is pretty cool stuff, like she can appreciate it.
So
Alex is laughing uncontrollably over in the corner, saying something on the lines of "It's a bag of holding."
He pulls out 3 knives. He pulls out a bow and arrow with so if there's separate arrows. He pulls out a pair of green sandals that seems to be made out of woven just soft plant matter, and he pulls out 3 pots. I was like, and a square shape that's just made out of 3 wooden, not plank, wooden planks, or 4 made in a square, and then a few sculpting tools. And it just wants. I'm just sorry if I'm loading right now. I just wanted to get most of the things out of my bag.
She nods. I keep most of my stuff that I need in my room. If I need to be outside, then I would come up here to do something. It just depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah, but this is the tools of my trade, for the most part. I keep to the soil and bone and plants and weapons and such. That's all made through hard effort. He nods and then he looks at the laughing man. I've never really been a weed man personally. I have to say that.
It's okay. It's not necessarily my favorite thing. I just think it has its place. Can't deny it's natural.
Oh yeah, I bet there's no criticism. I've just never been teaching with this that much.
Yeah, he's still laughing in the corner, saying that you have a bag of holding.
We're not playing D&D at the moment.
He knows, but I'm using the reference.
Oh, I know. No. I get it. No, she'll get it because she actually knows a lot of that nerd stuff. She actually said that. We're not playing D&D at the moment.
He laughs more.
She just shakes her head.
So
we'll just have to see how that ends up going now that he knows where the marijuana's at.
You can tell me about this technocracy, can't you? I've never encountered them before in my travels. I encountered them when I arrived in the city, however.
He looks at Cardin. Well, that's good for you. At least you didn't work for them.
What's his name? His name is Damien.
Well, I mean, I'm not as knowledgeable as, say, Nausicaa or Ava, but I mean, I have certainly had my run-ins. I was almost killed by one.
Oh, that was almost the result yesterday as well. I was attacked by horrifically altered dogs, which serves as proved my entire point about the faults of the modern technology, in my opinion. Keep trying.
Technology has its place, but it is not something that needs to be used, well, in my case, in magic. So, however, you talk to Nausicaa, you should see her computer.
No, thank you.
I'm just saying she can do amazing things with that thing. I'm not going to knock it because it's effective.
I know that modern technology works. I just think it's inherently corrupted. I've never denied it's efficient.
Well, it's not necessarily the technology's efficiency that I'm referring to. I'm referring to her ability to use it as a tool to do some very nice effects.
You can do excellent things with many items. Computers can help plan setting up a building, for example. Put up excellent calculate probabilities and other things. However, I think we rob ourselves of the ability to do such things ourselves. The gun, just look at the gun, for example, as an item. The gun can do horrific things on an enormous scale. And look at the increased killing we see with it. The mass shootings. People can just shoot people with ease and kill 20, 10, 90 people without much of an issue. I think that shows the inherent destructive influence of modern technology. Computers as well, yes, they can do amazing things. And people who know how to use them can do even more amazing things.
Well, death is part of life.
Death is part of life.
Alex stands and he kind of looks at the bearded man and just like, have you ever seen a sword? I'm pretty sure a sword has killed way more people than a gun.
That's because historically a sword has existed much longer than a gun. But if you look at the gun killings in the modern day as compared to a sword, I think the gun wins.
And we will refer back to that. Oh yeah? Well, where was the news and the internet to report those things about the sword? I'm pretty sure a sword is way more deadly and has killed way more people on a higher scale rate than ever of a gun, because we couldn't record the amount of mass killings with a sword. You could break into any home that you wanted and kill the entire family with a sword if you wanted to. And you can't.
The difference between a sword and a gun is that I broke into a building armed with a knife or a sword. Someone in the house could fight back with a knife or even a large broom handle. With a gun, I can shoot someone through the window without any issue. But anyway, I'm not here to debate guns specifically. I'm just using that to illustrate my point.
Yeah. He laughs as he talks about the invalidity of your point.
Right. Well, either way, I find it interesting that you seem to share some ideas with me and some with Nausicaa, believe it or not. Considering that she and I are so far apart, she would tell you the power of science forever. She believes magic is science.
He just shrugs to that. I saw her waving around a wand yesterday, shooting a car with it. That seems pretty magic to me.
I mean, it just depends how you want to look at it. That's the thing about what we do.
Indeed.
I mean, she might do something one way, and I might be able to do the same thing, but in a totally different way. For example, we can both see things at a far distance. She does it a completely different way than me. I have a cauldron and I put clear, pure water in there, and I mix in herbs that help with seeing and clarify things. And I can see what's happening by looking into my water.
I actually have I made a hearing tincture once. I worked on the science for quite some the formula for quite some time, but I made a herbal brew that when I ingest it, it amplifies my hearing significantly. Lets me hunt much more efficiently and navigate nature.
Alec laughs as he pulls out his phone and opens up his camera. I have a zoom.
Not the same thing. You can't see through buildings. I see through buildings.
He's just high as fuck. He's not even like, he's just being retarded.
It doesn't matter because she still said that. I mean, very far distances. She can actually teleport.
Interesting.
She's better than me. But my strength has always been not in that area. My strength has always been more with life. I'm pretty strong in that area. I can heal myself. Can't heal anybody else yet, though.
I've worked a little bit with life, but it's mostly to help identify different life forms and such. The material is my thing in general. Energies and matter that I can sculpt.
I've been learning about that lately, actually. I
actually worked on an arrow design. He pulls out a bronze-tipped arrow. I worked on this arrow here. I call it modern technology bane arrows, which I have yet to properly test out. But if I'm right, these should suck out electricity from modern technology when shot into machinery.
That could potentially be very useful.
Indeed.
Alec's gonna look at Grace for a second as it just came to him that she said that she can see through walls. And he's going to run downstairs and grab his laptop. So he has left the roof for quite a brief minute as I'm going to do a few rolls.
That kind of cracks me up because she's literally like, you don't just walk around looking through walls all the time. That is so freaking obvious. But
he's he just has an idea and he's running with it.
She just kind of watches as he runs off, and she's like, "I hope he doesn't trip down the stairs."
You hear him trip down the stairs.
She'll go and peek down and make sure he actually gets up. He hasn't like knocked himself out or something stupid.
He's going to get up, dust off, grab his coffee mug, which has spilt on the stairs, grab his shirt, wipe up the stairs, and then keep running.
She just kind of crosses her arms and walks back over. And she's like, I was just going to check on my plants, if you don't mind.
I need to finish writing this little thing here. So by all means, check on your plants. He takes up his charcoal stick and continues to write on the paper. Oh.
Yeah, she's gonna go grab because I'm sure there's one of those watering things over there, and she'll probably take the hose, fill it up, and walk around and check the the whole check the soil to see if it needs water, that type of thing, and just kind of walk around. She's probably within talking distance still, but she's also kind of half looking for Willow, who's disappeared in the plant somewhere. And she's doing that. And if she finds any weeds, she's pulling those too. Probably kind of tossing them to one side, so you could totally grab them if you wanted them. Because you were talking about the matter that you needed.
Yeah, he's going to pick up the weeds. Excellent. I can use this. He's going to go around, pick up weed, and pile it up near his sleeping area.
She doesn't care. It's better to reuse and reuse it wherever you can. She's all about recycling. That's fine.
Yes. I can probably weave a lot of these weeds together to make something. Like some kind of rope, or hopefully start working on the foundation for my plant tent.
Maybe if you became a little better with your life magic, you might be able to even make them grow longer so that they would weave better.
Oh, they're currently dead plants. I can potentially work with them already.
Oh, that's fair.
Yes.
Just so you guys know, Alec is going to be gone for 2 hours based off of the rolls, but he is essentially making an app on his phone to see through walls.
Okay.
So
Well,
Okay.
I
he'll be
mean,
gone for a while. He'll be gone.
I mean, it sounds like the two of them, like, she's just kind of working her way through the, the bounty of plants because she has green thumb. The plants freaking love her. So, yeah. So if anyone was looking at her aura, you would see green in there too. But, basically, I made a good poison ivy.
Ooh.
And Boris just has issues.
So,
But yeah, so she's just sort of working through her plants and kind of, she's kind of watching what he's doing, but not interfering. Kind of mostly looking for Willow and whatever else.
so I started working on a plan to make so I can sleep here during winter. My first plan is to alter the elements within a mud coating I'm going to put on the sleeping area. I will make the mud into rock.
That makes sense.
Since I will make the rock contain much more of the fire element in it rather than just plain earth, I will have the rock start absorbing heat into it. I will then put sleeping furs on it. The ambient heat should then keep me warm during winter times.
Wait, so you can't stay anywhere that if you didn't make it?
Indeed.
Okay.
The
Otherwise, I would offer to help.
The present exception is this roof. Since out of safety reasons I have to stay in this building, I'm still trying to live up to my own standards. Therefore, I'm working on making the roof more livable. Originally, my plan was to, as I said, build a special kind of mud hut up here, but I don't want to take up too much space here.
Well, I mean, if we need to let's just say that this area was already bad when I moved in, because Boris was here and there was someone else who was always playing with plants as well. And then he left, and I ended up adopting all of his old plants. Plus, Boris has his, and I had my own already. So you can understand there's about 3 people's worth of plants here.
Indeed. That's why
I'm everywhere.
I'm glad you're weeding all them. The weed is something I can use, at least. And I mean, the herbs and such will also serve my purposes. I'm probably going to see if this technocracy threat is ever going to escalate and I'm going to have to participate in some kind of fight against it. I will try and see if I can make some poisons. That should be helpful.
It's always a fight with them. I mean, ideally we wouldn't have to do that. We could just try to live in peace or something, but the simple fact is they kidnap us, they try to kill us or torture us. It's that simple. There's no dealing with them.
I used my modified sling. He pulls out a sling from his pocket. I threw when we were pursued by the technocracy yesterday. I managed to incapacitate one of them by throwing a rock through the car window.
I think maybe it was some part of my awakening, but it's somehow magic was done, and I'm guessing maybe it was me. And I think I killed about 2 or 3. They were eaten by man-eating plant and sucked into the ground. It was really creepy and gross.
Out of
Sounds like it.
What'd you guys say?
That sounds delightful.
Yeah, that was her first scene. And she's like, "Oh my god!"
That is indeed creepy.
Out of character, that's way more entertaining than my first introduction was. All I did was parkour on rooftops and make homemade explosives.
I was at a funeral. She was at a funeral, and it just got worse.
That's awkward.
So I came from Boston. It took a week of walking, but I got here, and then I was ambushed by these cyber dogs, and then then Nausicaa and Julie met me, but I had to run into the van. But unfortunately, danger is danger. And then we drove away. Car chased. Nausicaa shot it one of the cars with her wand, and I threw a rock through the car window of the other one and incapacitated them that way.
Good. I'm glad they found you. It's
Indeed.
it's not safe for us out there.
I got as much from the introduction I had to this city. I knew it was probably going to be bad, but oh well.
Well, I mean, it's not. Let me rephrase. It's really not safe to go out at all, but the simple fact is we're people and we need to go out and we have to handle things in our lives, and there has to be some purpose other than I'm going to do magic all the time. So, I mean, I actually run a women's shelter. I used to be a counselor at one, and then I couldn't really keep that job for obvious reasons because I was suddenly given a lovely gift that, you know, I mean, it's cool as hell, but I would love to see my family a bit more often. But anyway, and so eventually, after working through a lot of details, Nausicaa agreed to give me the startup money to start up a shelter that I run myself. It's pretty new, it's not huge, but we're making a difference. Oh, for the record, you guys, I totally forgot to mention this because you can see on her hand, she's probably wearing like a long sleeve shirt, but there's a ton of scarring on her left hand that you can see. It's like surgical, you know, it's surgical sorts of scarring, but it's a ton of scarring.
Well, I guess that would be the time that Alec would probably run upstairs, tripping again on the door frame, and then getting back up and kind of slightly jogging to you.
Welcome back. As she's still like watering plants and things.
He points at the guy with the beard since he has yet to hear your name as...
He said it while we were there.
Oh,
Yeah, he
what'd you
did.
say?
Damien.
Damien, yes. Do you know what a T-pose is?
What?
Okay, stand very still and hold your arms out wide. Like
No.
you're playing.
I feel like a hug is coming.
There's no hug coming. I don't do hugs.
Maybe I should do hugs. As she opens her arms and starts walking towards him.
Alec kind of like backs away.
I'm thinking, considering that you just met him, maybe if you explain to him why you want him to do this pose, it might be good.
Oh, yes. I want to show you this thing that I just came up with.
Okay.
So can you just hold your arms out?
No.
Pretty please. It won't hurt.
He eyes you in a very practiced scowl, and he puts his arms out.
Great. Now may I take a picture of you?
Sure.
He looks over and winks at Grace as if to say, I asked first.
Yeah, she gives you a thumbs up.
And he takes a picture of his upper torso, and he turns around and shows the phone to Grace as it has basically you do not see the clothing on the outerwear. It is just his chest.
She nods. Maybe show him what you did there.
Oh, yes. He turns around and shows the phone to Dylan.
He eyes it, and it's just like, okay. And then he sits back down to continue gathering up the weeds and weaving them together.
Slight sadness is in his eyes as he turns towards Grace and is like, he doesn't understand.
I mean, I'm sure he understands what you did. He just doesn't approve of the way you did it. At least that's what I'm guessing. As she looks towards Damien, right?
Yeah.
As she looks towards Damien.
It's more that I don't care rather than don't approve, while that also is true.
A slight tear forms in his left eye.
I feel like we just got into an anime when you said that. Oh, see, I'm like, what is this anime with the T?
Here's the thing: Senpai has not noticed him, and it's horrible.
Senpai has not noticed me.
And if it's been like 2 hours, I'm sure she's made it. By now she's probably has made it through the rest of the plants. And instead of just throwing them randomly off to the side to be gathered later, she comes back with like a big armful of weeds that she'll like drop down on onto your pile.
Excellent. This will serve my
If you want me to, I can bring them over here whenever I do it.
Excellent. This will serve my purposes. Thank you. He nods.
Sure. I approve. Because you know what? I mean, I'm just using a building that already existed. It's not like I built it or anything, but really just my room. But it's nice to see. It's nice to see everything being used.
Alec has a mischievous face as he's just walking around taking pictures of random buildings. He is up to no good.
Clearly, he's trying to find naked chicks.
Starting more trouble in the neighborhood.
He's being a creeper, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
She's just gonna be like, well, it was nice meeting you guys. I'm thinking I should probably go. I think I'm gonna go down and get some tea.
Well, that sounds good. I probably have to purely focus on my project of making my living situation here tenable for the winter. So I will speak to the two of you later.
If you like tea, I mean, I can. I'm certain we have the makings for tea in here. If you wanted to try to make your own.
Indeed.
Okay, just letting you know.
Thank you. He nods.
Not appropriate place to make coffee, unfortunately for you.
Yeah. Alec turns around and has a very disapproving face. No, that fire is immensely well for making coffee.
Not what I meant. I meant for growing coffee requires a tropical climate. And she will actually go off into a spiel of all the things that coffee needs to grow that do not exist in the city.
Alec will slowly fall asleep on the floor.
Yeah, when she sees that, she's just going to look up and wave to Damien and be like, I'll see you later. And she turns.
But did I go?
She will actually, at that point, Willow will walk out and follow her down the steps.
Then,
you're cutting out really bad. I'm not catching anything you're saying.
And he's gone.
Give him a second. It's a bad net connection.
And the
you got this.
Future is being